Alcatraz, which is sometimes referred to as the Rock, was a maximum security federal prison on Alcatraz Island, which is 1.25 miles or about 2 kilometers off the coast of San Francisco, California. And it has a lot of history, which before researching this topic, I really didn't know all of this history behind it and how it became Alcatraz prison. So the name Alcatraz actually came from the Spanish word Alcatrazes, I think is how you say it. And this was because the Spanish explorer Juan Manuel de Ayala was the first person to discover the island. So he was the first person to sail into what is now known to be San Francisco Bay. And he discovered a few islands, and one in particular, he named Isla de los Alcatrazes, which translates into Isle of the Pelicans, because Alcatraz is also a pelican or a strange bird. And he chose this name because it was a very rocky island with minimal vegetation and a large pelican population.
Oh. Ugh.
I know. Isn't that kind of creepy?
Yes. I don't know.
I know.
Birds kind of freak me out as is, but big,
Mhm.
giant birds and no
No.
thanks.
Alcatraz was actually used as a fort starting in the 1850s after it was sold to the US government in 1849. In 1854, Alcatraz Island became the site of the first operational lighthouse on the west coast of the United States, which I was like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then in 1859, they started fortifying some of the barracks to be used as a jail during the Civil War. So the island was never used for battle. It never saw battle, but it did serve as a military prison, housing civilians who were arrested for treason and prisoners of war. Eventually, infantry soldiers were replaced by military prison guards, and this was basically just operated as, the military, the US Army owned it, they operated it, they were doing everything. In 1933, it was officially transferred to the US Department of Justice for use by the Federal Bureau of Prisons. In the 1920s and 30s, crime was really starting to escalate in the United States, and prisoners were escaping from prisons way too often. So on October 12th, 1933, the U.S. Department of Justice officially acquired the United States Disciplinary Barracks Pacific Branch on Alcatraz to turn it into a quote-unquote escape-proof maximum prison. And this would essentially be a last resort prison to hold the worst of the worst prisoners who basically had no hope of rehabilitation.
Wow, that's like a big flip-flop.
It